time. Alright, got it way low. Hopefully it doesn't mess up. I don't know how I turned up so loud last couple of times. I apologize for that. Welcome to Command & Conquer Rivals Tips and Tricks from Straj, Episode 2. We're going to talk about openers today. The first starting moves. Now, there are different versions of these openers. You know, you could start, say you wanted to rush. You could start with the barracks, airfield, war factory. Several things you could do. But basically, there are only 4 openers, even though there's different ways of doing them, and they all do work at certain times. The least effective, and I think worst opener out of all 4 of them is the double harvester. If you're going for heavy economy and you just right away go harvester, harvester. Not a good opener. It can work if someone does not scout you, does not rush you. As soon as they see you doing that, they should rush you and beat you, honestly. And again, it could work. You might be able to still counter it, depending on what they do. But this opener has the least amount of chance to stop the other 3. It can work. Still useful. That's why I'm mentioning it, but I will not be showing that one in this video. There's no skill to it, and double harvester. There you go. Heavy expensive units. The 3 I will be going over will be the rush, the counter rush, and sort of a basic opener, which can handle both of those to a point. I'm going to start with the rush. So I believe it was Beef here where I did the rush on. And you can do this with a barracks, air factory, war factory. Doesn't matter. I'm using a war factory for the rush. And with this build I have here, actually, wow, we have almost the exact same build to each other. I try to do a rush early game. And then, if I'm successful and I get that surplus of money, I could go for a double harvester, or I could use that to pump out a few expensive units, win right away. This is a double harvester build for late game, though. But anyway, let's go and watch this. And the problem with the rush is, if they hold off your rush, you are at a disadvantage. The rush can be canceled very easily. Actually, no, not easily. It takes skill. But if they go for that double harvester, you've won. If they go for a single harvester and you can manage to get it. I build the war factory, attack bikes, going right in after his guy. He didn't scout me at all. This was a horrible, horrible start for him. So my rush has a huge success. I built a buggy second in order to counter his infantry if he built them. That was a guess on it. Honestly, the only important thing is to build something to kill his harvester first. I could have even gone buggy first to counter his infantry and then use the attack bikes. Or doubled up on attack bikes. Anyway. And honestly, he had me almost here, but he moved to kill my buggy, and then instead of killing his harvester with my buggy, I just brought my attack bike and got it. That gives me a huge surplus of money. Now, if I thought my rush needed more units, I could have built more units, and then the harvester, but I built the harvester because I'm like, I've got this. And then with his money, I instantly got out more units to counter what units he's got on the field. I'm saving my harvester, going to harass his harvester with more of a mid-game unit with my tank, which is also a great counter for his bikes. You know, I countered his counter rush, because he's like, well, if I kill his harvester, maybe I can make a comeback. That was a good move on him. And at this point, it's over, because I've got an army, and I've killed his second harvester. He just gave up. I believe he disconnected even at this point, because he just quit. He lost both of his harvesters and initial army. He had a huge army, which was all anti-vehicle, and all he had was a war factory, so that's game. Basic rush tactic. With GDI, it works same way with not the little APCs, but the little rocket thing. Forget the name of it. Going blind. Dumb for a moment. Anyway. But, something that moves and attacks at the same time is very useful. GDI has that. Or they can even do you can sometimes rush with just basic rocket squads. Or the jetpack troopers for GDI works pretty good too. Air units throw people off a lot. Get behind the harvesters, go back and forth on different sides of them. If you can't circle around them, make his units have to move to catch you. And if he doesn't do it fast enough, you're going to get extra shots in. Also, I've mentioned this before, if you wait to take a shot and then move, you have a reload time. That's the perfect time to move. Shoot, move. Shoot, move. shoot, move. If you're doing that, if you have to stop to shoot, you're moving while you're reloading, and that means he has to move. Instead of him, if he has constant fire, instead of him shooting you while you're shooting, reloading, and shooting, he's shooting you, you move, then he's got to move while you shoot, then he shoots you once while you're trying to get away. So you've reduced his firepower by anywhere from half to a third. In some rare cases, if his guy is going to do like burst damage, like attack bikes do, he might still be able to get his full damage in. But again, situational. Now this is my favorite opener. It's a very basic one. This is the go-to opener for most maps. Because you scout and then you build your harvester. Basic rifleman is what I use for scouting on this. We can go and watch that. And if he's rushing you, you build what you need to counter it. You stop his rush, save your harvester. Now you've got an army, and you can start building counter army. You also get your points going very fast, so it makes the game shorter. So people trying to use expensive units usually don't get those expensive units out. Now, if you see, he's actually doing the same thing I am here. This is perfect. Because I'm like, oh, he's got this opener. So if he does a harvester, I need to counter. But I see he does a rifleman, so like, I'm going to build a harvester of my own. Because I know he's not rushing me. He's not rushing me with 2 riflemen. So now, and he sees that I'm not rushing him. He, again, counters. I've got the advantage at this point, because I went harvester before the second unit, because I saw what he did. And then, I've mirrored him now at this point. And he actually does really good. He suspects I'm going to go for vehicles, or decides to build a vehicle and go for my harvesters. Where I built a vehicle to deal with his infantry, because I know he's got a significant amount of infantry. And there's a lot of little micromanagement here, but that's essentially the opener. We mirror each other very well. If you see someone goes double harvesters, you can try to rush them. If you see he goes units and he's not rushing, you can do your double harvesters. Which I don't even really need with this build, but I went for it. And a lot of micromanagement, me trying to, counter his tanks, counter his flamers, get some air. Just trying to control the points a few times and block them off at the bottom left there before they go. Anyway, but yeah, the whole point is you're playing retroactively. You see what he does and you counter it. Sometimes you need to guess because you don't want to sit there and not build for too long. But don't be afraid to do that. Because when you don't build, you have a timer for your units. And if you notice, that timer, even when you're not building, and you can build, is still ticking. A lot of people don't realize that. That's something they never mention in the game. So if you don't build, your build queue, your ability to build, is much faster. That's how come sometimes you can be like, wow, I can build 3-4 units back to back to back to back without waiting. And then there's other times, oh my god, why am I waiting so long to build a unit? And it's because that timer. And the amount of units you have increases how long you have to wait. So if you have fewer units, you can build faster. And if that timer, you've got to wait, say, 30, 45 seconds to build your next unit, and then some of your units die to where it drops to where you only need like 5 seconds. Build a unit. Now you need 10 seconds. Build a unit. Now you need 30 seconds. By that time you've built those two, you've got your 45 seconds. You just pumped out 3 units instantly, and you're like, why did I build those 3 so fast? That's because that timer, even when you're not building, is saving up. So if you don't build your units, because you can guess, but if you guess wrong, if you guess right, your units are already across the field, you got a huge advantage. But if you don't guess at all, you can guarantee that you get the correct unit, and you didn't really waste any build time. You only wasted travel time. And that's very important, because if you don't risk guessing wrong with that. And the games, again, both of these tactics are good, but it's important to know them. And all the functions of the game, like how it works. Anyway, but that is, again, basic scout, resources, play what you need. Actually, resources than scout with that one. And play what you need in order to counter him. The problem with that build, again, every build is a problem. Rushes have problems. The scout has problems. If he goes for a rush and you don't counter it properly, even if he does go for a rush, you have to. You're building at your base to hold him off at the last second. And in certain maps, the Tiberium is in the middle of the map, like all the way across near him, and it's not near your base. Those maps are very bad for this build, actually, because your Harvester is all the way up near your enemy, and if he rushes you, you might not be able to get to it in time, or you got to retreat and get all the way away from the Tiberium. You're not making the money anyway. And if he successfully kills your Harvester, his rush succeeded. Also, he can cut off your scout with an earlier scout or something that counters it very well. Like these scarabs. If he had built those scarabs on there, I would not be able to see far into his base if he got them right away closer to mine. So now my scout's not so useful. I got to try to go around the map. There's a lot of different things you can do. And of course, if you want to build fast, you can just use 2 riflemen to counter that scarab. It's 20 cost versus 30, but then build time. Time is a resource. People don't remember this. Time is a resource in this game. You're not just focused on Tiberium. And the least number of units you have, the faster you can build units. And again, time. So if you look at my army composition, I'm the top here at the Hand of Nod. I've got a bunch of cheap units, right? This is a 1 Harvester build army. I could run 2, which you saw me do that one game. I think, yeah, that one I just highlighted was the one we just saw. But, oh yeah, and I lost twice after this. I screwed up on the strategy, so I didn't even show it the first loss. The second loss I did it, but he had the strategy that countered me perfectly. And again, bad map for it, but I was still trying to show a specific strategy. So, the 4th strategy, which I haven't gone over yet, is practically the same as the second one, except you sort of reverse it. And its weakness actually is the second one. So, which is why I like to start with that one. You know, oh, look, he's rushing me, I can counter it. Oh, look, he went for that other strategy, I already have an advantage over him. If he goes for the double harvesters, I just got to get out some units fast and rush him. That's why I love that strategy with the 1 scout and then the harvester, then scout right away. That's my main one. Every now and then I decide, you know what, I'll rush, you know, depending on the map, if Tiberium's in a bad spot like that, and then get out my harvesters and try to make the rush work. This strategy could also work if the harvesters are in a bad spot and I don't want to rush. Let me go ahead and show you this, though. But you do your scout first. And the reason that this is good... Let me go ahead and pause this as soon as I get going. There's 2 points to this. One, you actually get going real slow. You can get your scout position first. So if your opponent, say, builds scarabs, you're already on the far point. You know, he can't do anything. You have the scout in position before his. You see what he's doing before him. And 2, this is exactly what happens here. If they try to rush you, their rush instantly fails if you don't have a harvester to kill.
Unit ready.
Oh, he's rushing. I'm not going to build a harvester. I'm going to counter his rush. And that's exactly what I did here. I built rocket squads to deal with his guy there. I moved away my guys from his APC. I'm like, oh crap, I need to do something to kill that APC. Build a war factory, build one of those guys of my own, and I'm countering him, right? He can't kill my harvester. If he pumped out more units looking for my harvester, he'd be at more of a disadvantage. And after I kill those units, I would then build my harvester, which is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm killing his units. He did go for a harvester first, though, which does now give him a money advantage. But I've already killed enough of his unit. He's only getting maybe, in total, from that time, maybe 10 points more than me, because I still got my harvester out. But I killed enough of his units to more than make up for that, right? And then he's dropping expensive power already to, you know, I don't know, try to get that field off before the missile went off. Didn't work, but he did kill some stuff with it, just finished off some weak guys. And I moved in a tank to kill his harvester and to deal with any more APCs if he built them, which it did. And that gave me a huge money advantage. At this point, I'm rolling in the money, and I'm like, I've got the points. I just need to keep countering him, so I'm going to speed this up. But I countered him, and I was able to push on him and still get my money.
Unit
And if he kept
lost.
focused on units and he didn't even build a harvester, I wouldn't have to build a harvester. I could just keep countering him, and again, once I had an army and an advantage, I could still build a harvester at that point. But
Activated. Unit nuclear weapon launched.
basic 3 openers. 3 good openers. Did not show the double harvester opener. That one is completely reliant on him not scouting you, not rushing. If he scouts you, then he can rush. And even if his rush is behind, he has a very good chance of being successful with that. But you do have the extra income to try to counter the late rush. If he does an early rush, there's nothing you can do. Double harvester will do very good against the scout first build. If the scout can't kill harvesters, it will, because at that point, if he tries to rush right away, he doesn't have the economy. And with the scout first build, a lot of times you'll see their scout. Now, you didn't see me do this. If they rush, you don't build the harvester. If they're not rushing, you build your harvester right away as your second unit. You get that harvester out so you can get the money flowing. And you usually want to do that with a cheaper build overall. Yeah, you can still have some expensive units in it, go for a double harvester build later in the game. But for an opener, it's just important to have cheap units and to be able to get that harvester out as soon as possible. The question is, are you starting with the harvester and then the scout, or are you starting with the scout and then the harvester? I don't like the scout then harvester, honestly, but I will do that if I feel he's going to rush on certain maps. That map that I played on, normally I would not have done that opener. I would have done the harvester first for the extra money, I would have scouted, and as soon as I saw his guy coming in, I would have been building counter troops to kill. I would have been building the rocket guys right away, moved my harvester out of there, and then easily raped his first unit much faster, and then also had enough money. Instead of needing to build a harvester, I would have already been pumping out tanks to kill the APC like right away. I would have had like 2 rocket guys and then a tank for my next unit, and then I would have put the pressure on him. Would have been a little bit different, but I was trying to show off that one strategy, and it does work. I hope you all enjoyed, and that helps you with your games. You've learned something today about building. Now, another point, though, a lot of people will think because they've got 2 units on a control point, and I've seen this in a lot of videos, that means they should have that control point. As long as you have 1 unit on a control point, the color is all that's important. Yellow is the same as neutral or unowned. If it's neutral or unowned, it doesn't count. The only thing that matters is the ones that is your color and his color. And that means you have units on it and he has no units on it. The little 3-point system. 2 units don't matter unless you can completely block him off from getting on it at all. It does, you can send in 1 unit. You can send in a harvester. Stall. He could have 2 points, and you've got 1. You send a unit onto one of his points and just move a harvester onto the other one. Even if he kills the harvester, even if he, kills your other unit, for that one moment, you've got 1 point and he has 0 because they're neutral. They don't count. So you can launch that. And I've used this tactic before in some of my other videos. You might have seen it, but I didn't quite explain it to people. And I see a lot of people have videos like, why did the nuke go off? I had more people on points. No. The amount of people does not matter. It's the points themselves. There's just a lot of little things in the game I don't think they explain very well for everybody. I thought the color made it very obvious. They do try to give it away. It's not like they're trying, to deceive you or anything. I also don't think they explain the timer very well for units. And on the bottom left, you see the number of squares you have. When you're fighting, that's how many units you have on the field. You can have more units than that. You're not capped out at that number of units. But it changes color as you go up, and that's your build time for the next unit. So the more units you have, the longer it takes to build your next unit. And if you have a large army, building 1 more unit is going to take like a minute almost. And in a 3-minute match, that's ridiculous to build 1 unit. Where on the flip side, if you have very few units, you can just pump them out within 5 seconds, 10 seconds, just over and over again. Unit. looks like my food is done. I was going to play a match, but I might have to hold off on that till the next time. Made some potato skins. Yum. Watching anime. But one last thing I want to talk about, that goes to two strategies that are very important. One, if you don't need a second harvester, don't build one. Less number of units, faster build time, more units on the field. So not building a second harvester can mean you have many, many more units than your opponent over the course of battle. It can mean 5-10 seconds less per unit. But when you're talking about a grand total of maybe 20 units, 5 or 10 seconds per unit, you know, even though it might be taking 15 seconds to build a unit, that's still going to end up being several units more than your opponent. Even though they might need to be cheaper because you're pumping them out faster with less money. And that comes into the strategy part a little bit more. You know, use those numbers to your advantage. Also, if you're losing, and you have time to do this only if you have the time to do this, and this could be very bad, consider not killing his units. Instead, weaken this unit. Let it live with almost nothing left. Weaken that unit. Let it live with almost nothing left. A lot of smart players will send their units in toward you to get killed, and this strategy won't work. But the first, like, round where I'm at, like 1,500, this works quite well. Leave his units alive and weakened, he can't build anymore. He pumps out a big expensive unit, weaken it, finish it off. It's going to take him 45 seconds to build another expensive unit. And then, when the missile's about halfway, don't wait until you hear that beep. That's too late. When it's about halfway, send in stuff to finish those units off. You know, if he's got a unit that's one hit from dying next to another unit that's one hit from dying, you can send in one unit and kill them both. You know, and if he's got another one over here on this other field that's, you know, half dead, you know, send one unit over there to kill those two, one unit over there to kill that one. You just took over 2 fields. You know, and then you could have something else like a harvester move into the 3rd field. Bam! And you know that he can't build very much more. He might have 1 unit somewhere at full health that he built, and then he just built like another 2 or 3 because you wiped out 3. You know, he'll have a bunch on the field, but if they can't get to those points in time, you turned it around on him. So, you know, and body blocking, very important. A lot of people don't think about body blocking. Remember to retreat. Sometimes saving that unit can be a good thing. There are times when it's important to get killed. Missiles nowhere near going off, get the unit killed. That way you can have a fresh one later. Having money problems, save the unit. Your money, you know, pull it back, have it capture a base in the back. The missile's about to go off. Pull it back, have it capture a base in the back, get something fresh up front. But if you have plenty of money, I mean, there are some games where I've got like, oh my god, shit, I've got like 200 Tiberium or 300 Tiberium. I gotta spend this shit. I'm gonna be throwing my units at you to get them killed, even if it's not necessarily the right matchup. Just to keep, you know, I will body block, distract, throw stuff everywhere sometimes if I have the money to do it. And then when my money runs lower, start playing more wise with it. But, you know, use what you got. Tiberium's not going to do anything in your storage. And at the same time, if you're going to build more units versus not be able to build, you know, I might be able to build 1 more unit or I get these 2 killed and I can build 3 more expensive units. Go for the 3 expensive. Hold them off with those instead of, you know, maybe 2 weakened and 1 expensive. 2 weakened, you know, cheap units. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go right now. Have a good time. Hope this helps. And let's pray the audio worked this time.